As an attorney who's helped thousands of real estate investors protect themselves and their real estate, I want to warn you about series LLCs for owning real estate. They sound great on paper. As Yogi Berra said, in theory and practice are the same, but in practice they're different. And that's what I found with series LLC structures. In this video, we're going to go over three things. We're going to go over the supported benefits and the hype and why I don't think they're worth the legal risk. We're going to talk about what experts say when it comes to series LLCs, when push comes to shove and there's litigation. And we're going to talk about a simpler, safer, more effective structure to own your real estate investments. No hype, just honest legal information that I recommend to my clients that could save you thousands and save you time. A series LLC is something you form with a Secretary of State. It's permitted in not all states, but a large number of states allow them. You make one filing with the state and form multiple companies. You can form 10, 20, 100, in some cases, 1,000 LLCs, limited liability companies that have separate limited liability company protections by making one filing with the state. The benefit that people see is one filing means one registered agent, means one fee you're paying to the state, instead of, if you have a lot of real estate, multiple LLCs and the complexity that involves. So that is one of the real benefits of a series LLC. They sound great to have all of this savings, right? If I've got a lot of properties, I don't need to have multiple LLCs. It should reduce my administrative burden. But here's what the YouTubers talking about them don't tell you. Let's get into it. The legal risks. Number one, okay? If you want the legal entity to be treated as separate, you need to treat it as separate, right? Some people don't get a separate bank account for each of their series LLCs, right? They keep it just one bank account on a spreadsheet. Some people will not maintain them separately. They don't have separate operating agreements for them. They don't have separate documentation related to the series of them. So people are getting it wrong because they think that because they do one filing, they're relieved of the administrative burdens associated with protecting those LLC assets, but they're not. You still need to maintain it as if it's separate. All you're saving is the fees between 10 LLCs and one series LLC filing. Another legal problem with series LLCs is they don't work across state lines. At least we don't know if they work across state lines. If all of the real estate owned by the series LLCs are in one state, there's a case to be made for using that series LLC. Never cross borders with a series LLC. Using a Wyoming series LLC to own real estate, a piece of real estate in California or a piece in Florida or something else is not going to help you. Here's why. You still need to foreign entity register those if you're crossing state lines with it, and then you have a recognition problem. Are those series LLCs going to be recognized as separate in those states? It could be that a state's laws only recognize when there's a separate filing. They may not recognize if there's one filing with all the series on it. They may not respect that state law. And if I'm a plaintiff's attorney and I'm suing a series LLC, you know what I'm doing? I'm trying to show that all of the property in all those series should be subject to the claims that originated in related to one property. Another is banking related. Banks don't see series LLCs. They're rare. They're very rare. In our business, even when people wouldn't be encouraged, and we put warning on the website, a series LLC is very complicated. Talk to an attorney first. Still, even without that, before that, there just weren't that many series LLCs being formed. What did that mean? Well, there just isn't case law. There has not been enough litigation for a court to determine, okay, this is the way things are going to be handled. The banks don't know how to treat them. They don't know whether they should be treated as separate business entities, whether they should have one bank account or not. Forget about lenders. Lenders are very confused about what assets are actually in the LLC they're lending to. And I have seen banking problem again and again with series LLCs. The problem you run into is that you can't keep the separateness of the series LLCs if you're operating in a single bank account or they're a single loan. You've commingled the assets together and you've undermined that series LLC protection. So let's talk about other problems because they don't stop here. The hidden cost of LLCs. Formation complexity, right? I've seen a multitude of different ways to address the operating agreements for a series LLC. Is there a master operating agreement that then there's an addendum for? Do you have separate agreements for each series LLC? What about your ongoing compliance burden? You haven't really relieved yourself of any of the need to do all of that documentation related to the series LLCs. You've got additional accounting requirements because how is your CPA? Do they even know what they're looking at here? There's a big opportunity to make mistakes. Oh, was that a Series 1 expense or a Series 2 expense? They have the same name, right? And you are also faced with this huge problem, which is that anyone who sees a series LLC as an owner of a piece of real estate knows there's other diamonds out there in the rough. And they will use that to their advantage. If they're suing Series 1, they say, well, let's see if they have been respecting the separateness of these LLCs. Or do they try to pull in all of the LLC assets into their litigation? So that one, it's a tell. They know that you are a significant real estate investor if you've got a series LLC. What are the better alternatives? Well, standard LLC structure. Form a holding company. Form subsidiary companies to own pieces of real estate in separate states. I recommend the Wyoming Holding Company and then forming the subsidiary LLCs in the state in which the property is located. That is going to involve having multiple LLCs. And yes, there's an administrative burden. The administrative burden is the same as it is for series LLCs because you need to keep that separateness. The burden is going to come from the financial burden of needing to maintain a registered agent and form those LLCs and maintain those LLCs in all of those subsidiary locations. But when it comes down to the cost, I think the sure thing of an LLC, the existing case law, I know how the courts are going to rule. I know what the plaintiff is going to know and not know. They're likely not going to go for a sister veil piercing attack or even a veil piercing attack when I have separate LLCs because they don't even know those other LLCs exist at this point in time. Whereas we're giving them a lot more information when we form a series LLC. Real world examples of success are all over the place. So if you're ready to give up on the hype and the snake oil when it comes to series LLCs, what should you do? I'm here with solutions. You should go with a tried and true structure. We know how the courts are going to treat separate LLCs, not series LLCs, separate LLCs. Form a holding company. Form subsidiary companies to hold each piece of real estate in whatever the state, in whatever state the property is located. Work on that structure, grow that structure, and it really is just as scalable as a series LLC structure. A little bit more cost, but I like the sure thing of that asset protection that separate LLCs that are not series LLCs provides. Unfortunately, series LLCs are just one of the hyped up snake oil strategies that I see online. There are so many of them out there, and I think really what you need is someone who's been in the trenches, understand what's going to happen when it comes to litigation and protecting your assets. I'm going to break down in the next video some TikToks that I saw with advice, questionable advice, like the guys, right, and gals on them, but questionable advice in some cases. I highly recommend you check out my videos, and at the end of the day, rely on a licensed attorney who can provide you with real-world guidance on tried and true asset protection structures.